I get elected president, I will bring it back bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, Karen. How are you? Oh, thank you, my dear. Thank you. The same. I feel like I should be building things in the backyard and eating outside. I feel like it's getting so time for things. It's getting wintry, exciting. Hello, Karen. How are you? I've been here. I've been mostly here. See, Karen knows. I love Sukkot. It's one of my favorite Jewish holidays, actually, because you're supposed to build a little shelter. Not really very good shelter though, and eat outside in this little shelter. It's to celebrate the harvest, and I love it. It's just a great tradition. Fun. Fun for the kids. Fun for the nerdy, crafty types. Yeah, it's fun for everybody. Well, maybe not fun for the, people who don't like doing that stuff. Well, too bad for them. How is it going, Valerie? How's it again? Excellent. So, but Facebook it's been showing me to some people. Some notifications have been going through, others not. I don't know. They're all avoiding. Excellent. Chris Wallace was awful. We're going to talk about that Sunday. I can't with Chris Wallace. I never could. As I said in my post, my opinion didn't change with Chris Wallace because I already hated him. I already did not like Chris Wallace. So we went from not like Chris Wallace to not like Chris Wallace. Lateral move. Thank you, Karen. This video is Laser Snake. Make America Great Again. The band is called Laser Snake. Lazer Snake. Make America Great Again. I don't know if they know that I put a song here every day, but they love it. I love it. No one seems to not love it. Everybody loves it. It's a great song. It's rocking. This is what we need. We need more music like this.
Are you a real patriot of the USA? Do you like having the right to bear arms, protect your family?
I do like that.
What about the ability to work a job?
Oh man, how's my monkey? There's my monkey. Good to see you. We need 4 more years. We could use 12, but we're gonna deal with 4 and see what we can do for 2024. We got work to do, y'all. We'll talk about it. We will talk about it. We got things to talk about tonight. I'm kind of excited to talk to y'all. Especially after last night's debate. Especially. Right, Karen? Hello. It's like all the Karens. There's a lot of Karens today. That's so awesome. All my Karens are here. It's like my Karen crew. I know, right? We could totally use that. Thank you, Laser Snake. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. You are watching the one and only Trump Talk US live in DC with Suzzanne Monk. I am Suzzanne Monk. We are, as always, 8 minutes away from our nation's beautiful capital. We are 15 minutes away from the president's White House, where President Donald J. Trump is still the president and is going to be the president for the next 8 years. I hope you got a chance to see that wonderful debate. We have Chris McDonald representing Trump Talk US in the chat room. If you see Trump Talk US, that is Chris. He is sharing links to great organizations, links to some of the president's stuff, links to President Nutcracker, links to everything, links to a bunch of stuff. I believe he's still going to be sharing the link to Kyle Rittenhouse's defense. As we know, we continue to support that young man's efforts for justice. I have all the best Karens. Karen Grossberg. I have all the best Karens. So I feel like, you know, Karen Bark always says, you know, every time we use the word Karen in the slang fashion, she always is like, but it's not fair to Karen. I know. It sucks. It sucks that they use your word to refer to women who are very, very whiny and annoying. So it is what it is. So let's talk about the debate, you guys. That was a fantastic. I know everyone's mad. Okay, first let's just get this off the table. I know everyone is upset. Everyone is like, Chris Wallace was horrible. He was totally biased. He was rude to the president. Agreed. Hello, Carol Elstrom. Agreed. Chris Wallace was a total douchebag. And I'm not going to argue in any way, shape, or form. Let's go and check. And that Chris Wallace sucked. And that this was a 2-on-1 debate. And that Chris Wallace was there to help Joe Biden not get his ass handed to him by Donald J. Trump. That being said, it did not work very well. Now, did it? It did not accomplish the goal. If you watch the debate, now there are some people who felt like it became too much of a bickering match. There's a lot of talking over people. Some people who felt that President Trump interrupted too much. Some people felt that actually Joe Biden and Chris Wallace interrupted quite a bit. In fact, if you do a Google search, as I did, how's it going, Gene? Good to see you. If you do a Google search, as I did, I was going to make a meme. You know me, I like to meme. And I was looking up a picture for interrupting. I wanted to make a Google search, meme about Chris Wallace interrupting all the time, right? And I put in the word interrupting, and I clicked images. And you know what came up first? A picture of Chris Wallace. Fact, get the screenshot on my page so you can see for yourself. So Chris Wallace was the most interrupting of all of them. Chris Wallace was constantly interrupting the president, trying to control and corral and manipulate how the president was talking. And one of the big talking points today about the white supremacy question is based on Chris Wallace laying and implementing the white supremacy question trap. This is why we're all having this conversation, because they operate. Jazz, you're absolutely right. This is why we're all having this conversation again, because the debate's going on. Biden is not doing very well. He's very repetitive. He looks very pasty. He doesn't have a lot of solutions. He doesn't even have any really very solid and sound attacks other than ad hoc attacks really at the president. The president, of course, is hitting home on its accomplishments, hitting home on the failures of Joe Biden in the 47 years of his election. And Chris is absolutely right. Chris is 100% right. Joe was the first to interrupt. Joe Biden was the first to interrupt. And this is how we get into this interrupting game back and forth. So I just want to go, look, I'm not saying the debate was great in the sense like, oh, it's such a perfectly executed debate and everyone was so civil and we learned so much as citizens. No. I'm not discussing that as the reality of the debate. It was a dumpster fire. But it was a dumpster fire in which our candidate, our president, did very well. Avoided the slings and arrows of a great number of attempts to attack him, stood up to the direct attack that they're always going to play with him at the end, which we're going to talk about, the white supremacy question, which is obviously the most ridiculous thing. We're going to break that down step by step. We're going to break that down individually so you can see the method of the attack. Not only that, but the president did a great job getting Joe Biden to lay down some amazing clips for the election commercial season. Some great stuff that we'll be able to use against Joe Biden, and certainly some revelations that I think the left should recognize. One, certainly Joe Biden does not support the Green New Deal. Two, Joe Biden does not support defunding the police. Certainly these are the kind of things that you need to pay attention when Joe Biden says them, that his back and forth, one position or the other, is certainly suggestive of someone who is lying their ass off and isn't going to do either of those things. So let's talk about, since there's a lot of chats going on in the Periscope, and I want to bring in some of those statements. Let's talk about this Proud Boy issue. Let's talk about the question of white supremacy. Let's break down how this trap happens, because they do this every time. They've done it to Donald Trump like 5 million times. They try to do it over and over again. 5 million is obviously an exaggeration, a hyperbole. So let's not get ridiculous. They do it over and over to Donald Trump. Will you denounce white supremacy and blank? And they put whatever else they want to demonize as white supremacist in the blank. Okay? They can do it to anything. Tonight they did, last night in the debate, they did it to the militia. All right, this is what it said. Do you denounce the white supremacists and the militia? And then Joe Biden, probably because a little birdie in his ear told him to say this, said, Proud Boys. The Proud Boys. So now what they're trying to do is say that, do you denounce white supremacy? Which Donald Trump said, sure, immediately. Will you denounce white supremacy? Sure, 100%. He said that 100 times. He's actually denounced it over and over. You keep asking. I don't know how many times you need to hear the answer. I do not know how many times you need to hear the answer. It's kind of like when you're dating a really, really, really insecure woman. Have you ever dated one of those really, really, really insecure women, and they just keep going, do you love me? Do you really think I'm pretty? 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 And they keep saying that over and over, and you start to be like, you know what? You're getting less pretty every time you ask me that. You know those women? This is what the left is like with this question and Donald Trump. This is what the left is like with this question and Donald Trump. Will you denounce white supremacy? Will you denounce white supremacy? Will you denounce white supremacy? Will you denounce it? Yes. Will you denounce white supremacy? 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 Yes. How many times? It's just a trick so that you guys can talk about it in the news media cycle. And you'll fall for it every time. But you know what? You're absolutely right. Hold up. Where is it? Yes, Chris is absolutely right. Tremendous pushback all day for the Proud Boys, as there should be. As there should be, because my president is amazing. So what did they do? They tried to get him in the trap. They tried to get President Trump to denounce the militia, the various militia, including the 3%ers, various organizations, Oath Keepers, etc. I don't know how many organizations we want to talk about. There are a variety of militia around the country. Individuals who gather, okay? They train together for emergency situations. They operate security at public events, at rallies, etc. They serve the community in a variety of other ways, just like Shriners Hospital guys, just like many of the other men's clubs, community clubs, serving the community. These groups do the same thing. Many of them. So to suggest that those individuals are white supremacists by linking them, saying, do you denounce white supremacy? Sure, of course I do. We all do. Everybody, who doesn't denounce any kind of supremacy? It's stupid. Individual capacity is what our whole world is about on the conservative side. What all of us patriots are about: individual liberty, individual ability, individual accomplishment, the content of your character, not the color of your skin, not the gender of the partner you go to bed with. None of that is relevant. None of that is the situation. That's what's so ridiculous. So my president Donald J. Trump didn't fall for that. Didn't fall for that. And when they added the Proud Boys, and this is what, when you're all like saying maybe President Trump shouldn't interrupt so much. He shouldn't talk over Joe Biden so much. He shouldn't think on his feet like that. He should be quiet and step back. Well, you know what? If he'd have done that, they'd have got him in the trap. But instead, when Joe Biden says Proud Boys, because a little birdie told him in his ear to say that, when Joe Biden says Proud Boys, my president says, I'll speak to the Proud Boys. Stand by. Stand back. Stood up with the Proud Boys. sent them a message that frankly is their policy. You know, this is the thing. All of these folks going around to say that Proud Boys is a white supremacist organization. All these little leftist media joints, all these little crazy people. Here's what's absolutely ridiculous. Okay, the head of the organization is my personal friend Enrique Tarrio, who is a Afro-Cuban man. Proud Boys come in all colors. Proud Boys come in all faiths. Proud Boys come in all sexual orientations. Proud Boys come in all shapes, sizes. Some are big, some are little, some are nice, some are jerks, just like every other organization in any history, but they are in no way white. In fact, they're the opposite of white supremacists. The Proud Boy organization is the opposite of white supremacists. They're the opposite of fascists. They're the opposite of individuals who want to impose their ideology through force on the government. Using the government to impose their will is not how Proud Boys are. We want freedom, liberty, First Amendment rights, Second Amendment rights, constitutional liberty. These are what my Proud Boys stand for. You know what makes you guys mad about the Proud Boys is they're not willing to stand down and say that the Europeans and the Western civilization and the expansion of Western culture throughout the world that has led to modern civilization is something to be ashamed of. And that's why you get mad all the time. You get mad because they're not willing to stand down and say, oh, white man's super bad. Every word white man meant, he's bad. Bad white man. Shame on you, white man, for being white. How dare you be white and come around the world and build civilizations and build cultures and help bring up native populations out of poverty and barbaric wars between each other. You know, we love to talk about, oh, the Native Americans. We just came over here, white people, and they like, we're killing the Native Americans. We just like immediately got over here. We handed them a bunch of polio blankets and laughed. Come on. That's not what happened. What actually happened when you got here is the whole great differences of tribes. Some tribes raiding, stealing, enslaving other tribes trying to live in peace. Some tribes coming to white folks and saying, hey, can you help? These guys over here are crazy. They keep stealing our women and our stuff, and we need to eat, and we're hungry. And now we got to go to war. Can you help out? And they go, yeah. So that's reality. That's the history of America. America's not a history of white man bad. And so the Proud Boys, they say that. They admit that. It's not white man bad. White men did some good things. White men, Western culture, the various forms of Western culture anywhere. Yeah, all of it. All of it. All of it. And the expansion of it. And the inclusion of individuals who might not have come from the West, the Western culture, you know, who might have come from the outside cultures. You know, a lot of stuff we learned about math, we bring in from the Middle East, from Arabic cultures. But then those things are become included in the Western culture and expand. So that, you know, that's what I think is funny, is we love to get mad at the Proud Boys for saying, oh, we believe in the West. The West is the best. Well, you know why the West is the best? You know why Western culture is the best? Because we assimilate other cultures. Because we bring other cultures in. Because instead of becoming tribalistic with everyone else around us who looks different, sounds different, speaks different, we try to trade, we try to engage, we try to learn. If we find things that are useful, we bring them in. In modern culture, in modern society, in a modern cosmopolitan environment, we bring in people from all over the world. If you're an expert and you're from Somalia, we bring you in. If you're from Bangladesh, we bring you in. We value ability over your skin color, your ethnicity, your background, your now, as we've gotten into more modern times, your gender. We have more and more here in the Western culture, here in America. women have more rights, women have more capacity, women have more ability to make a living for themselves, to own property, to become anything they want to be than anywhere in the world. And yet, we continue to fight these same battles. We continue to fight these same stupid leftist ideas that we're bad. Everything the West does is bad. And this is why the Proud Boys are demonized. But the reality is the vast majority of those guys are great gentlemen who are serving their community each and every day in a variety of ways. They enjoy the camaraderie of other patriot men who come together and frequently stand in defense of other patriots exercising their First Amendment rights. Now, here's the problem. We wouldn't need a single Proud Boy. I would have loved to live in a world where Gavin McInnes, I always get him confused because how many Gavins are there? How many Gavins are there, right? Gavin McInnes, comedian. This is why I find it also funny that everyone gets so, oh my God, the Proud Boys. Gavin McInnes is a comedian. He was a comedian. I knew him as a comedian. I was a comedian. That's how I knew him. When somebody told me that Gavin McInnes had started the Proud Boys, and sometime in the process of having started the organization, I was like, what? Gavin McInnes, the comedian? And I laughed. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no, you're serious, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Well, that's funny. I knew Gavin. He told jokes. He's a pretty funny guy. He told jokes. Kind of a interesting character to meet up with. He kind of, as any comedian does, he had a certain amount of his own stage presence and ego, and so always a good time. And I think even into the years of Proud Boy organization, I think that continued. But certainly, it was pretty funny. Now, once Gavin McInnes realized that this organization was actually having a real impact, and we started to see the left have real militant attempts to go after these gentlemen. Now, see, this is some of the little comments in the chat here I'm ignoring, but I see them. I see what of course is. What of course is being said, and what I can say is this: the Proud Boys have, from the beginning, from very early on, been a defensive force, and have been someone who has stood in defense of those who are exercising their First Amendment rights. They have stood in my defense. They have stood in many others' defense. We would not need Proud Boys for one single day, unfortunately, if we were enforcing the rule of law. If we were enforcing the rule of law and protecting individuals' rights to peaceable assembly, we would not need one single Proud Boy ever to have stepped foot in the streets. No one would have needed to wear a Fred Perry. Gavin McInnes' idea would have been laughed at, and we would have been like, yeah, men's club, you're kind of all, kind of like edgy. It's like edgy Boy Scouts, but not but for grown-ups. I don't know. We would have thought it was funny. But since we were in a world where individuals were literally being attacked for exercising their First Amendment right, and we see actual fascism in the name of anti-fascism, we see the leftist fascism, and this is what the president said, and he was very accurate in saying this. We see from the left violence, physical assault, the physical suppression of freedom of speech, of people's rights to peaceful assembly, the doxing of individuals, the threatening of individuals, the attacking of people trying to cost individuals their jobs. We see again and again violence coming from the left. That's what the violence is coming from. It's coming from the left. And we have seen again and again the areas where the violence rises up being controlled by leftist mayors, leftist governors, so that they can implement and probably have fostered a leftist police force that is willing to stand down, not enforce the rule of law, not enforce the public peace, and allow individuals to violently block traffic, allow individuals to violently assault other people who might be protesting, allow individuals to burn and assault property, vandalize, to loot, to break into loot, to commit acts of arson, which have led to murder. So had those events not been happening, had we not seen the police stand down, yeah, Gene, if this hadn't been the problem, exactly what Gene says. If the police had not been ordered to stand down in these areas, we wouldn't see the kind of violence. But we see our legislators doing exactly like Gene is saying. The left calls rioting and looting a peaceful protest. The Democrats do that. This is a peaceful protest. Antifa doesn't exist. It's an idea, not an organization. We heard that from Joe Biden. We heard it doesn't exist. The fantasy from Jerry Nadler. From Nadler. So, Christy is 100% correct. The Proud Boys aren't the ones holding cities hostage with violence. The Proud Boys aren't holding the cities hostage with violence. It's the left. It's the left. It's the left. And let's go even beyond that a minute. Okay? Because what I find very interesting is that we love to say, oh, well, the right is obviously racist because the left is anti-racist. The left is anti-racist. They're clearly anti-racist. Look at them. They say Black Lives Matter. So they're not clearly racist. Clearly they're not racist. Yeah. You know what's not racist? What's not racist is when everybody on your side, no matter what color they are, no matter what sexual orientation they are, no matter what age, no matter what gender, no matter any of that, they're greeted with open arms. They're greeted with a welcoming smile. They're greeted with equal value as someone who shares your ideals, shares your values, and shares your mission to protect this country and reelect the president. You know why that's happening? You know why that's happening? That's happening on the Trump train. Okay? When you are at a gathering of Trump supporters, of patriots, there are Black people, there are Latino people, there are Asian people. Just last night, we're at the debate party. Black people, Latino people, Asian people. There was a British woman. There was gay folks. There was everybody. Everybody. Gay people, straight people, old people, young people, skinny people, fat people, brown people, Black people, white people, tan people, people of mixed descent, people who are rich, people who are poor. We're all watching the debate together. Why are we all together? Why are we all together? Is it because this is the only bar that's in town that will show us the debate? No, there's many places that will show us the debate. You know why it is? Because we support the president. We want to support the president together. We, a very amazingly diverse group, supports the president. Now, you know what happens on the left? You know what happens on the left? Instead of what you see is, on my side, we hold equal weight to opinions no matter what skin color the person is talking the opinion. We hold equal welcoming to the person no matter what skin color it is. On the left, you see literal use of the Black man to enact an agenda, to raise funds, to raise political money. The Democrat Party is using Black Lives Matter to raise money off Black suffering. And they're literally encouraging, in order to make the suffering worse, in order to make the suffering more powerful, so they can continue to raise more money to extend this Black Lives Matter money push for the Act Blue organizations that are funding Democrats. Look it up yourself. It's not just me. In order to do that, they need to make sure that everybody's still angry, that all of you white liberals are still guilty. And there's somebody, now we're talking about Breonna Taylor again, which of course was an issue some time ago. Of course, the case comes up again. Oh, no charges. Okay. Well, for a reason, but those reasons don't matter when we start the violence, we start the rioting, we start the physical attacks, people start to see the destruction. And where does this destruction happen? It happens in the Black community. Pay attention, you morons. The left is using you. Black liberals, pay attention. I'm sorry, you need to pay attention. The left is using you. They are using you to burn down your own community. They are using you to keep yourself in chains. They tell you that you're the victim and that their enemy is the reason, even though we are the only ones, we on the Republican Party, on the Trump train, are the only ones offering any real options and alternatives, any real commitment and understanding to the Black urban problem. President Trump just signed a $500 billion bill to help Black Americans that designates the KKK and Antifa as terrorist organizations. The first, look, why are we just now have you thought about that? Has anybody asked that question? Why is that still undone? That the KKK is listed as a terrorist organization. Why would that? It's almost as if we didn't ever have a Black president who clearly, of course, if we had a Black president, he would have obviously taken that opportunity to designate the KKK as a Wait a minute. We had a Black president. Why didn't he designate the KKK as a terrorist organization? Why didn't Barack Obama designate the KKK as a terrorist organization? Why is it Donald Trump, the huge white supremacist, that is designating the KKK a terrorist organization? You know why? Because the KKK is a Democrat organization. It is a Democrat organization. It serves a Democrat function. The Democrats operate the same race card grift every 4 years. They did it 4 years ago. They did it 4 years before that. They do it every 4 years. Here's what happens. They figure out some situation to enrage the Black community. They've found a reasonable amount of success with these Black police brutality murders. And do you notice how we're always saying, oh my gosh, how are they picking these cases where there's of all the cases, this is what I find so horribly frustrating, so horribly tragic. All right. Police brutality is a real thing. Police brutality. Look at my eyes left. I know, because I know you little lefties actually watch this show now. I'm actually starting to find out that some of you little lefties watch my show and kind of like scroll and keep track of this. You probably actually take transcripts of this stuff because the captions are coming. I don't know, but you obviously are paying attention. So here, this is for you. Okay. I know you need to pay attention. You need to pay attention to this kind of stuff. It's very important. Chris, you're absolutely right. The KKK is a Democratic organization. It's been a Democrat-run organization, and they do it every 4 years. And y'all gotta kind of figure this out, because they're making fools of you. The Democrats are making fools of you because they're not actually caring about Black people. They're actually demonstrating their own racism. And here's how. When what you do is come in and create this victimhood every 4 years to rile up the Black community, and here, police brutality. Here's where I am. I had lost my track because for a minute I lost my track. I'm glad I got back. Police brutality is real. Police brutality is a real thing. Look up the case John Burge. Look up many other cases where we have found officers who have brutalized suspects to get a confession, using broomsticks to anally, forcibly penetrate, violent abuse, beating people over the head with old typewriters. There are ridiculous stories, horrible stories of police brutality. Now ask yourself this question. Do you believe that in all of America right now, none of that is continuing to happen right now? Do you think we've solved all the police brutality problems? No, nobody thinks that's right. So somewhere in America, there still is, of course, officers being found out to commit acts of brutality, and we're still not hearing about them. They're still not being put in the news. You know what is put in the news? These sensational shootings that often are actually justified by the officer acted appropriately to protocol. So why are those the cases? The cases that where some cop shot a kid who we've somehow spun the story. You know, Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. He didn't hands up, don't shoot. He actually grabbed for the cop's gun and put the cop at grave risk. All right. The myths that they say. Breonna Taylor, oh, she was asleep in her bed. No, she was standing in the hallway when her boyfriend shot at the police, injuring the police, and the police returned fire. Why are the cases they have to tell us these manipulated lies? Do they either A, not have any other cases to talk about? Are there no other cases of police brutality to bring up? Or are they literally not bringing up the real cases? Let's talk, real talk, real talk. Are they literally not bringing up the real cases of police brutality because they know that the union organizations are the ones that protect those police? Those unions are deep Democrat operatives, just like the whole machine is, and it has nothing to do with police brutality. It has nothing to do with protecting or changing or reforming the cops. It has everything to do with riling up the Black community to commit acts of violence, to suppress and manipulate the vote in urban communities again and again and again every 4 years. If you don't believe me, look it up. Look up the pattern of every 4 years we have rioting over some cop shooting. And interestingly, almost every single one of those cases is a case that has questionable culpability for the officer. That in fact, 9 times out of 10, that officer is actually vindicated in their actions and has acted accordingly to the law. So, and the left has provided some misinformation to get everybody all riled up. And yet cities burn down, often in the poor and Black communities. They're not going to burn down the rich neighborhoods. They're not doing that, you guys. They're burning down the people who they claim to be supporting and protecting. That's who they're looting. That's who they're burning down. That's whose businesses are being destroyed. That's who has to be fighting. That's who's fighting. It's right here in Anacostia, right here in Washington, D.C. We still have boards on the windows from businesses, Black-owned, 100% Black, female-owned businesses with big, beautiful Black Lives Matter murals right on the side of the business. Didn't matter. Broke right in. Didn't care. People from Baltimore looting, taking advantage. So they want us to rile up. They want to use the Black man. The Democrats do it every 4 years. They want to use the Black community to anger them, to control and manipulate the vote. They do that by getting everybody mad and saying, it's the Republicans who are racist. That's why everyone's mad. Look how the Republicans aren't agreeing with us, how white people are all bad. What? Because first off, what rational, non-racial, racist person would agree with you that all white people are bad? Just listen to yourself when you say that. All white people are fill in the blank. Anything you're going to say after that is going to be tinged with prejudice, prejudging. All white people are, you can't even say all white people are white. Some are tan, some are yellow. Okay, some need to seriously stop going under the ultraviolet lights at the tanning booth. All different kinds of stuff going on, okay? In the quote-unquote white community, it's not even such a thing. White people are all just white. We don't really have a community. We just have white people. So actually, one of the things that I find amazing about living in the Black community is there is a sense of camaraderie, there is a sense of family, there is a sense of unity in the Black community between Black people. And it's not perfect. And sure, there's a lot of folks who are like, oh, there's a lot of Black people who don't even care. That's right. But there's a lot of Black people who do care about each other, and kind of more than I've noticed, particularly in the white community, who just kind of treats everybody just like a person, but not one of us. I don't know any white people like that. I've never met any white people who are like, it's us white people. Frankly, if I meet anybody who even starts to talk a little bit like that, I go, oh, excuse me, I have to, and then I get out of there. I'm not talking about them. I'm not talking with them. I'm not engaging with those people just like anybody else would. Get away from crazy racist people, right? So They played the grift on President Trump. How's it going, Marguerite? And President Trump stood up to it. I think he did a fantastic job to this. And now we see the Proud Boys being discussed all day today. Many people coming out in support of the Proud Boys. I, too, coming out in support of the Proud Boys. I continue to stand with the leader of this organization. Enrique is an amazing person. He's a personal friend. I care a great deal about this individual. I think he's doing a wonderful job with the organization. And it's funny, the president said, stand back, stand by, stand back, stand by. This is what he told the Proud Boys. Let me explain something to you. All right. That has been the Proud Boys philosophy for going on 2 years now. Do you know why I know that personally? Do you know why I personally know that it has been the Proud Boys philosophy to avoid confrontation, to avoid physical interaction with the left at all times, if possible? Because personally, during the Unite the Right 2 demonstration, let me just look up. We're going to look that up. Here. I want to figure out the exact date so we can all be talking about the exact date. As we all know, the Unite the Right 1 rally was set up by Jason Kessler. It resulted in a death in Charlottesville. And so this was Unite the Right 2, also called Unite the Right 2. The Roman numerals were so stupid. It was a white supremacist rally that occurred on August 12th at Lafayette Square. I went to this rally and protested Jason Kessler. I went not to the rally, to the other side where everybody was protesting the rally. I went where the lefties all were protesting the rally. I went down in my Trump shirt with my sign, my Rainbow Gadsden flag, with my sign that said 2018, Gene, sorry, 2018, with my Rainbow Gadsden flag and my sign that said, no to racism, no to political violence, no Kessler, no Antifa. And then on the other side, it said, real Trump supporters come in all colors. It was, I went to protest white supremacists. I agree. Screw you, Jason Kessler. Unite the Right 2. Unite the Right Roman's a disaster. You tricked people. He tricked people into believing something about the rally that didn't exist. People got into real harm's way with the left. The police stood down in a very dangerous way. They corralled people who were there from the right wing, who innocently were being there, literally thinking that they're there to unite and support monuments and support our history. And it became this crazy event led by this crazy guy. And the left somehow was shoved in to these violent situations where violence occurred. And then we had this death situation. And then, of course, the right wing is blamed for all of that. None of the left wing folks that showed up with flamethrowers, with urine bottles, with feces bags, with any of the other weapons and intent to harm, none of the violence that they purported is even talked about now about Charlottesville. We don't talk about that. You're not the right one. We don't talk about any of that violence that the left did. We don't talk about the serious questions of what went down there. Individuals seeing people dressed as Antifa and lefties getting off the same buses as people dressed as the right-wingers with their weird tan matching Docker uniforms and shirts. They all had brown tan pants and white shirts. Same bus. I've seen the video footage myself. So, real questions about who instigated that, how it got instigated, what those people were doing down there, what Jason Kessler was doing, who he was working with, how he was who was collaborating then, how law enforcement was involved in the standing down that caused the violence, that caused the chaos that led to that vehicular death. There's a lot of questions nobody wants to answer. We're too busy talking about, well, the president said there were good people on both sides. Well, that's the stupidest thing that everyone's mad about ever, because that is actually a factual thing. Let me tell you the other thing. There were bad people on both sides. There were really bad people. There were really bad people on both sides. Look at me. There were really bad people on both sides. There were leftists who went there to harm people and did harm people. There were so-called right-wingers, quote unquote. I say quote unquote because they weren't any of the right wingers any of us other patriots stand up with. There were these individuals like Jason Kessler that associate with people like Richard Spencer and these other individuals promising, oh, no, none of those folks are going to be there. It's all lies. We're just being told, yes, the gauntlet. Thank you, Virginia. The gauntlet that people were forced to walk through. This is what I'm talking about, law enforcement. How were they involved in what way in causing and considering harm? Yeah. Chris says I was on 2 live feeds and saw it right on the ground as it happened. So this is what I'm talking about. The chaos was created by somebody. Okay? Now, the folks I stand up with, folks like the Proud Boys, they don't march in and start fights. They march in and defend patriots, but if they're swung on, they'll finish a fight. They'll finish a fight. And I know some folks like to blame the Proud Boys because they have seen footage of, how's it going, Helen? They've seen footage of full-on Antifa brawls where the Proud Boys and Antifa have had to go at it, and we've seen footage of that. Some of us get a little bit too excited about it. We're like, but hey, we watch wrestling, we watch mixed martial arts, so I understand where the natural human nature is to see people who really annoy you get their ass kicked. It's just a human thing we all do. What you will note every single time is that when the Proud Boys have taken those actions, it has been because of an onslaught of violence by the left, using explosives, using water bottles, rocks, anything they can use as a projectile, using chemicals. They use glitter and spray paint on me and my husband. So I started this whole rant by saying that the Proud Boys have been standing by and standing back for quite some time, and including all the way back in 2018 when my husband and I alone, are you paying attention? When I said I heard that Jason Kessler was going to do Unite the Right 2, I know how much I hate Jason Kessler and how much I hated Unite the Right 1 and what they tried to do and how they tried to taint our movement and good patriots by connecting them with this Kessler lunatic who wants to preach white supremacy and radical lies, probably paid for and directed by the left, just like David Duke has been for quite some time. David Duke is supported by the left, not the right. Nobody on the right likes David Duke. David Duke is a weapon used by the left. He's paid off his little puppet. He endorses whoever they want everybody to hate. They play the same game every election season. We do it over and over. It's stupid. It's just facts. It's just facts. So I called my friends. I called my friends in the few days before the event of Unite the Right 2. And I said, I'm going down to protest Jason Kessler. I don't think we can stand and let these lefties be the only ones in Lafayette Park who are going to be physically like across the park from him protesting. I think it's wrong to let them have that whole ground to make it their protest. I'm going to go down to the Lafayette Park and protest. And what my Proud Boy friends here in the DMV area said, we, per national leadership and per our own also agreement, are not going down and engaging that situation because we do not want to create a situation where violence may occur. So we're going to be staying far away. And I said, that's great. And I went down with my husband alone, stood by myself, assaulted, glitter bombed, spray paint, water bottles, pole hair, kicking, all of the 9 things, had to be escorted all the way up, down 8 straight, paraded down the middle of the street, all of that. We've all seen the video. I hope you've all seen the video. If you haven't seen the video of me in Lafayette Park protesting Jason Kessler, standing against white supremacy, literally saying, I hate white supremacy. I hate white supremacy so much that this woman asked me, what are you doing over here? Why aren't you over there? And I'm like, because I don't agree with them. I hate them. I hate what they're saying. I hate what they stand for. I hate it so much that I'm over here getting beat up by you guys. That's how much I oppose it. I oppose it so much that I'm willing to come over here and stand on the left and get screamed at and called a racist and physically assaulted and threatened and intimidated spit at. Why? Why did all those things happen to me? Because I oppose white supremacists. Literally, I risked my life to oppose Jason Kessler, the white supremacist, at this event. The Proud Boys already had stood down. Do you understand? They're not an organization go around starting fights. They're getting hunted. The Proud Boys out in Chicago, Trigger Tom, who got literally hunted and attacked multiple times, assaulted by Antifa activists there in Chicago. It's one of the reasons we don't live in Chicago. It's a very dangerous city because there's a lot of communists there. I think they're all badass. They just punk asses. Most of them are just punk asses. Chicago communists. But yeah, and that was back in 2016, you guys. That was back in 2016 that they were already hunting Proud Boys. That Antifa was already hunting Proud Boys. And I actually was writing an article about the situation, about Tom Christensen, Trigger Tom, and his physical assault, where he was physically assaulted, had to go to the hospital, a huge gash in the back of his head. Back in the day, how he had been literally stalked by Antifa. They had hunted him down, physically assaulted him multiple times, tried to use the he attacked us trick to convince the police to put charges on Tom, when it was literally them that were, and they were hunting him. You can see they're hunting him on social media. And then once they actually accomplished it, they bragged about it on their website about how they succeeded at this attack against this individual. So I turned that information over to the police. I actually spent a whole 2 days calling law enforcement there in the Chicago area in the state of Illinois and trying to figure out who you'd sent that information to. Who do you send information to about an organization called Antifa who is openly stalking individuals and bragging about physical assault, bragging about committing crimes that they are being wanted for and searched for online, bragging about these crimes online? And so who can I send this information to? I have screenshots I want to send it to. I had to call all these different agencies. Finally, they got me to the gang task force, who knew who Antifa were. In 2016, the average cop on the street either was playing dumb on purpose or had no idea who Antifa was. We know now. We know now who they are. We have a much better idea who this loosely based organization of anti-fascists operating under various names like BAM, Anti-Racist Action, RefuseFascism.org, many of these other smaller, more specifically named organizations operating under an Antifa umbrella, but Antifa being not just an organization, a loosely drawn together organization controlled much by the Democrats, but also an ideology. This is what President Biden or President Trump in last night's debate pushed back on and was attacked by. And this is what former Vice President Joe Biden, didn't really know you. He kept calling him Vice President Joe Biden. He wasn't Vice President last. He's idiot last. Anyway, Joe Biden said, well, Antifa isn't an organization, it's an idea. Well, it is an idea, but it is in fact also an organization. And this organization also has ties all the way back to Europe. You have to look at where individuals who have supported this organization, who have supported creating these little cells. It's the same way we see with other terrorist organizations, the way we saw with Al-Qaeda, the way we saw Boko Haram, the way we saw even ISIS, individuals creating small cells of smaller organizations. Yet now there as well who said it was a fantasy, smaller organizations, and then they create these networks. So there's this little rogue group over here, little rogue group over here. Well, they have an agreement to work together when the word comes down, and so the liaison will go and wrangle these various smaller, more loosely knit groups. And because of that, you can have organizations that are very effective across the globe at implementing relatively mundane but effective terrorist plans without too much coordination, without an overly hierarchical top-down network. You can have these very loosely based networks and still implement a top-down strategy. And we've seen that in other terrorist organizations, particularly in Islamic terrorism, but we see it in Antifa as well. We see it in Antifa as well. So I know for a fact the Proud Boys have been standing down for a while because none of them showed up to make sure that me and my husband were not physically attacked. We had to protect ourselves. And I'm not mad in any way. I agreed with my friends at that time. I said, good, I'm glad you guys are staying out of this. I'm glad you guys are staying away because I know there's something you guys are going to have to engage in a violent way. I'm going to go down and do nonviolence. I'm going to go down and implement Dr. King's principles of nonviolence and see what happens. And what happens was we stood there for quite a while. We had some excellent conversations. We broke some minds. We blew some minds. And we undermined the narrative that the left continues to try to use. That the right wing is a bunch of white supremacists, that we all want white supremacy, that Donald Trump is a white supremacist. And look, of course that's true because it was the left, it's Democrats and the liberals who went to protest as white supremacists. Well, guess what? It wasn't just the Democrats and the liberals that went to protest the Unite the Right to white supremacy rally. It was also this Trump supporter and her husband who got their asses kind of handed to him by the same people who were standing right next to me opposing racism. We're like, hey, we both oppose racism. I'm like, you're a Trump supporter. You have to die. That's them. Like, that doesn't make any sense. We both hate racism. You're a racist. I'm like, how am I a racist if I'm over here opposing racism with you? Like, literally, I'm here getting yelled at, screamed at, threatened, physically assaulted because I oppose racism. How am I a racist? For that, you equally. All of us could then. Anybody's a racist then. What do you want from people? It's okay. The other white girls who are standing there, they're allies, okay, who are standing there, who hate Trump. They're not racists because they're standing together. But I'm a racist because I support my president, even though I'm there protesting racism just like them. This is the madness. This is the game they use over and over. The Proud Boys have been an organization that have continued to remain smart, continue to remain well organized, and frankly, just like anything else, none of them are perfect. Not any organization is perfect. Not Kiwanis, not the Shriners, not the Freemasons, not the Boy Scouts, not the none of it. Not the League of Foreign Veteran Wars people. Nothing. No group of humans ever assembled. No group of humans ever assembled did not have some jerks in the group. Fact of human life. Way back in the day, okay? Way back. Humans, back in the back machine. Humans in their caves, okay? Humans come out of the caves for the first time. They're like, oh, they see other humans. They're like, hey, we should hang out together. We should create Ugg Club. And they're like, Ugg Club. Oh, and they're all like, all the cavemen, they all go hang out at Ugg Club. They're all hanging out together, right? And they're kind of talking to each other. They notice that this one caveman, he's kind of a jerk, right? Kind of tries to eat all the mammoth legs. He always take the best mammoth leg. So always kind of shoves in front of the line, take the best mammoth leg. Nobody like, he's drinking all the mead. Whatever, he's always drawn on the cave. When he's drawing, he draws too big and it draws over your drawing. You're like, nobody really likes this guy. Since the dawn of time, there have been jerks. Every organization has them. Nobody's perfect. But for the most part, these boys, this organization has been fantastic. I stand up each and every day with Enrique Tarrio, with his leadership of the Proud Boys organization. I am proud of my boys. You see my shirt right there? You see my shirt right there? And that's why I am literally the unofficial godmother of the Proud Boys. That is the case. I love those guys. I love what they stand for. I love our 3%ers. I love what they stand for. I love the Constitution. I love our militia groups who are standing in defense of our country, in defense of our principles, and standing against those who would commit acts of violence and insurrection. Look, if you don't like what happened in Kenosha, Wisconsin, then you need to convince law enforcement, you need to convince those Democrat mayors, those Democrat governors to do whatever it takes, including bringing in the National Guard if necessary, to prevent the loss of life and damage to property. And if that's not going to happen, Americans aren't going to stand down and let their stuff get burned and their families get killed. They're not going to do that. That's why these people have formed militias. It's in the Constitution to form militias for this exact purpose. This is why these people do go train on the weekends. It's not just because their wives are annoying. They don't want to do the honey-do list. There's other reasons. This is the reason. Because they actually are serving the community. If you don't want them to be needing to be using physical force, firearms, and other means of protection, you need to have our law and order in place. And if you noticed last night, Joe Biden wouldn't even say the words law and order in the same sentence. So, Carol's going to go watch the president. We're going to let everybody go because I'm sure folks want to stop and get a chance to listen to the president. This has been a beautiful hour. I told you I was riled up. I just want to say a huge shout out to my friend Enrique Tario. A huge shout out to my Proud Boys. They tried to throw you under the bus, and I think everyone has done a wonderful job in supporting you and standing up with you, as does the president. Continue to keep up the great work in your leadership, Enrique. I love you. Can't wait to see you the next time. I got a big, big hug for you, my beautiful Afro-Cuban brother. These idiots, these lefty idiots make me laugh. Until next time, guys, keep laughing at the left. Keep laughing at the left. They're hilarious. I know they want to seem big and scary and dangerous and all of this stuff, and they are not entirely without teeth. They have actually killed patriots, stabbed patriots. Those things are real. I'm not trying to diminish them in any way, but please don't let that get to you. Don't let the terrorists win. Don't let the terrorists win. Continue to keep your positive spirit. Continue to keep your faith in this country and in our mission to restore citizen governance, to restore this Constitution to its full power and glory, and to restore the people of we the people to their position of power. That's why we elected this president. That's why we're going to re-elect this president. That's why so many great organizations have joined together to continue to re-elect this president and take back the House, strengthen our power in the Senate, take back our local offices, take back our state governance, take back these governorships that have been sold out to these commie puppet Democrats who are willing to impose a globalist pandemic to destroy America and the world rather than stand up for their own citizens. This is what we got to do. So keep up the good fight, my friends. We will be back again very soon. Hopefully on Friday, I'll get a chance to do a quick prayer broadcast. I will be live 8 p.m. tomorrow on TECNTV.com, TECNTV.com, the Exceptional Conservative Network TV.com, so TECNTV.com. Check it out. I will be there live 8 p.m. tomorrow with my show Life, Liberty, and Talk. Until then, you guys, this is, as always, your girl Suzzanne Monk saying I'm proud of my boys, proud of my Trump, proud of my Patriots, and I'm trumping out. See you next time, you guys.